Guys, I've been doing some thinking and I wanted to give a numbers breakdown on the idea of Nebula, how big it will be, really go in depth, and then do other videos branching off of this talking about the three different phases I see when it comes to Nebula's creation. There's really three different things. First, the planet being created, people buying up land on it. Second, the introduction of social media, the next big thing. And then the third thing, getting it on its own actual network and transitioning the entire internet to Web 3, getting a Nebula phone, getting a Nebula computer, things like that. But I want to do this video and just talk about the overall numbers. I do have a little, thumbnail thing here that I wanted to show, a quick graph depicting everything. And I would say we're going to make it very easy, very simple when it comes to buying land on Nebula. 1 mile equals 1 coin. So obviously you buy 1 coin, 1 Nebula coin. You also get 1 mile of land on the fictional planet. You can see the total land available would be, at this point I'm debating either 125 million miles or 100 million miles. Of course, the Earth is, I believe, 196 million square miles. Nebula would be 250, but you have to factor in all the water, which would not be buyable. So you're looking at kind of a 60-40 water to land split. I think Earth's at 73-27, something like that. I would have to see mocks of it personally before I actually went ahead with how much land compared to water I would want. It would have to look nice. The max supply, obviously, if 1 mile equals 1 coin, the total coin supply, if 100 million miles are available for purchase, would be 100 million total coins. And that's about 5 times Bitcoin's total supply. I believe it's a little less than Ethereum. I think Ethereum's at around 121 million coins, so it's about a sixth less than that, which really I think is a good number for Nebula. And then you can see this would be a total example. So let's say it's the year 2028. 1 coin is trading for $456. You can see, obviously, that means 1 mile is trading for $456. This is all very simple stuff. I just want to kind of get people used to understanding how this would work. Coin is the exact same as a mile. If you're buying 1 mile, you're also buying 1 coin. The planet is an addition to the crypto. It's like buying crypto. It's like buying Bitcoin, but Bitcoin has a planet and you're buying land on it. And you introduce the whole VR thing. You walk around on the planet, the time dilation. It is an absolute immense experience. And then you can see we can also do it to where, maybe the coin gets to be at a certain price where buying acres makes sense. And you can kind of say, you know what, 1 mile is too expensive. I'm not paying $400. But you can say, I want 20 acres. I want 1 acre. I think there's 640 acres in a mile. So you do some calculation. $456 divided by 640. And that means 1 acre would cost you $1.40. That's just kind of the terminology there. Get people used to the idea. I want to make it as easy as possible. That's why you make 1 mile equal 1 coin. Could have been a lot harder if I would have made, 1 mile equal 0.5 coins or something weird like that. I want to make it as easy as possible. It's going to mirror it. And the overall max supply, listen, that's really just a rough estimate. It might even be less than that. It might be 85 million. But certainly, I would say it's going to be something around there. It just depends. Now, getting more in depth with the overall numbers, 125 or 100 million max supply, both in coins and miles. 250 million miles total. That's the size of Nebula. For comparison, Earth is 196. So it's comparable to Earth, but it is a little bit bigger, which is kind of the thing I'm going for. I think as human beings, we like the idea of stuff being just a little bit bigger, and rather than mirroring the exact size of Earth, I mean, I'm not going to make it Neptune or Jupiter, make it 6 or 7 times bigger. That would decrease the overall value of every mile. We want to make it realistic. I think 250 million miles in terms of the total size of Nebula would be something that is kind of a sweet spot, I would say. And then you can see, obviously, if the total overall size of Nebula is 250 million miles. If I go 125 for the max supply, that means there's 125 million miles of land, which means it's a 50-50 water-land ratio, which I'm guessing probably wouldn't look very good. Again, Earth is like 73-27 in favor of water. Would Nebula be 70-30? Would it be 63-37? The further we go in the direction of having more water, the more the supply becomes limited. If I wanted something like on Earth where it's 73-27, the supply would probably be like around 75 million, I would say, in terms of max supply, because you would have most of the planet as just water. But again, that's just a rough estimate. It's going to be similar, I'm guessing, in terms of the land on the planet. The planet design is completely custom, so there'll be things that are like countries and things will get developed, all of that, but it's not going to be a situation where, it looks like, the United States or it looks like South America. No, it's all custom. It's all new. That's the whole point of it. That's the idea of a fictional planet. The layout of the land is completely custom, and I don't know, I didn't add it. So the other thing I want to quickly say, the land might change, but it also might not change. You go back to Pangea. Of course, the idea of the planet is everyone buys land. The planet starts in a simulation back in the Stone Age, things like that. And we watch the planet develop in real time with a crazy time dilation to where, just for example, one day on Earth would be like a year on Nebula, and we can speed it up and really watch it develop, hopefully with maybe some type of VR experience. I know VR is very early right now. A lot of people are angry about it, but the idea is you could put on your VR and really go into the land that you own virtually. And of course, the planet is going to pay for everything. So the planet's price, if it is the epicenter of Web3, the planet's price goes up and it pays for the entire infrastructure of Web3. It pays for YouTube 2.0, whatever that is. It pays for Twitter 2.0. It pays for all the social media and everything, and that's how it's financed through Nebula. You can see the light blue tint to the planet when looking overhead. So yeah, that's the overall color I want, is a light blue tint. Obviously, when you add in land to it, it's going to make it look a certain... But I think hopefully we will be able to pull off a light blue tint, and I'll get more into that when you see the photo. There you go. It says land arrangement change over time. You know what? I'm starting to think no. I'm thinking everything is going to be stationary. I know that's not how it was with Pangea and everything changing, but if people are buying a certain amount of land, they're going to want that land to probably stay in one place rather than move all over the place. So we could run into some issues with that. So it might just be stationary. That might be part of the fictional aspect of it. Again, the land has changed a lot over time. We really don't think of it because we are living now in the moment, and the United States is staying in place. It's not moving for the foreseeable future. Nebula exchange, so that's a whole nother video. But the thing with Nebula, you're not going to be able to, in theory, maybe you can, but it would be very hard to purchase Nebula on another exchange because the land ties in with the coin. So if you're buying 30 coins, you're just not buying it, you're also getting the land. So it's like the Nebula exchange needs to be connected to the planet. And it's like you go to the exchange and you're also on the planet, and it's like, they're one and the same. You can go to the planet, you can look at what land you want, you can just buy random land, whatever they're selling. Maybe you want 3 miles worth, you can, do that. You can say, I want to buy 3 miles, and it'll do all the calculations, and it'll say, that'll be $43 for this much. You're getting land over here. It seems like you need an official exchange for it to actually work, rather than buying 30 Nebula off, Binance, where is the land there? If the land is tied to Nebula, there's really no way we can implement it into these exchanges like Coinbase, Binance, whatever. So that's an entire different thing. And honestly, it probably is better that is the case because you get more people on Nebula using the exchange. The official colors, I would say light sky blue. This is the overall color scheme of the planet. Marble dark blue and then cloud white. And there are a few different gas planets that have a similar color scheme to what I would like. Of course, there's no land on these planets, so it's not going to kind of rub off that weird Earth-type color. It's just gas planets, but the overall color scheme is really a light blue mixed with a dark blue. I think it symbolizes hope, and then you have white puffy clouds as well. More features, population tracker for Nebula in the top center. So, you know, the thing that I would want to do with Nebula, I would want to utilize the current technology that we have and hopefully the technology that gets developed, eliminate the bots, have an official population tracker. You can create a Nebula account, obviously, without owning Nebula. That's the whole point of it. It's the next internet. But, you know, the key thing, especially for people that come in early, buy up Nebula, it's going to be crazy. I want a population on the center top, very small, that shows you how many people actually have accounts with Nebula. And again, it's so important. These are all real verified people to where, you're not counting 5,000 bots because that's what, I think as people start to realize more and more how infested some of these Web 2 social medias are with bots, and really a lot of these people are interacting with bots and things like that. It's really Twitter. Well, I shouldn't say Twitter because I know they're trying to limit it, but what these Web 2, social media sites will do is they will create bots, have them auto-follow a bunch of people. They'll follow 1,000 people in the span of a week. They'll get 500 followers, and then they'll start tweeting out stuff and driving, interactions that inevitably will boost the overall value because it'll draw more people in and make more people active, which will have the advertisers spend more money. So the idea is if we can get everyone to understand the bot problem is so bad, there's no solving it. The only way to solve the bot problem is to go to Web3. That's the idea of it. But right now, people still think they're interacting with other humans, and maybe they are. But I do think, we would be surprised how many conversations you look at on Twitter, and it's just bots farming interactions and things like that. Limit or eliminate people having multiple accounts. So this is something where it gets a little hairy because how do you do this without infringing on people? We want people to be anonymous. We don't want people to have to give their social security number or anything like that. But it is something to where you're going to need some type of two-factor authentication within Nebula. You're going to have to phone number, whatever it is. I don't know. We're going to have to look into it to really make sure people don't make multiple accounts. When it comes to Nebula and Nebula alone, like when you're buying Nebula, you need an account. We're not going to sit here and have you make 30 accounts and really mess up the idea of it. That's the last thing that we want. We don't want any bots, and we don't want multiple accounts within the planet. We want everything very clean. Land ownership leaderboard, so just a leaderboard of who has the most land, miles, whatever it is. Hard cap on land ownership per account. So yeah, I don't know. I really don't. It's just the thing that we don't want is some rich person coming in, buying up half the planet. Obviously, that is something we do not want. I want millions of people to own this planet all at the same time. Buy and sell Nebula only on Nebula, and it does drive mass adoption when you think about the idea of the only way you can buy Nebula is through Nebula. The problems are it's not convenient, but the pro is if someone wants to buy Nebula, they need to make an account. They're going to buy land on it. It's an entire thing. It's its own ecosystem. You're not buying a shitcoin on Binance. This is a whole thing where you get digital land, and hopefully we can set some things up where there's VR elements and stuff, and you can see your land grow over time. Price of Nebula always visible in top right, so that is just something that I get really annoyed with different cryptocurrencies when I go to their actual home websites and they don't display the price, I am perfectly fine with showing how much one nebula is, how much 1 mile is. I want to see it. I want to see it every minute. So this is just an example kind of the nebula exchange, the idea of it. You know, you can go and you could put in, I want to buy 1 mile, I want to buy 0.5 mile, I want to buy 2 acres, 1 acre, whatever it is, and it'll be like, oh, 1 acre, that's going to cost you 33 cents. Oh, you want to buy 30 acres, that's going to cost you $16.52, whatever it is. That's the whole idea. You can buy it in acres, and then you can say, listen, you can tell people, I own 30 acres on Nebula. That's kind of the idea, to where we can, you know, use different things. Maybe 1 mile becomes too expensive down the road. It's like $100, $200, whatever. You want to buy acres, or you can say, listen, I'm into Nebula early. It's not very expensive. I want to buy 5 miles. It costs $20. You know, I'm just throwing around random numbers, but that's why I think that would be a good addition. Other features: trade land with someone else from across Nebula. So basically, if you don't like, let's say you have, 2 miles, a 2 mile stretch of land on the southern hemisphere, you don't like the way it's developing, maybe it's a glacier, you want to trade with someone, maybe a tropical area, maybe an island. If someone's willing to trade, I mean, that's a lot of technology that would have to get set up to facilitate something like that. But I think it's a nice idea. Displayed in, so this is what you can display it in. Miles, I own 30 miles. Acres, I own 200 acres. Meters, maybe if it gets really big and really expensive, you can go by that. Kilometers also, I would include a lot of different stuff. But those are just some different examples. And then this is just a fun feature that I thought of. And maybe this isn't the right video for it, but I wanted to include it here. Normal Earth-like sun. So it's like the normal sun. You get sunsets on Nebula, things like that. And it's normal. We want it to be, we don't want the planet to look like an alien or anything like that, because I do think in the long run, people would like a simulation to be kind of like Earth, even though it's fictional and we can have fun with it. And this is kind of where it comes into. One day every 3 months, you get a red sun or like a different color. And the example of it, different colors each time. So let's say, for example, it's one time every quarter this happens. March 15th, June 15th, September 15th, December 15th, where the planet changes color. So on March 15th, it would be like a red sun. It's basically the sun becoming red and reflecting the planet as a red planet. June, it would become a white planet. The sun, you go on, you use your VR, you go on to the planet, the sky is completely white. September, just one day, it becomes brown, and December it would be green. Those are just rough examples, but that's kind of the idea of the fictional aspect of it. That would just be a fun feature to look at. Like, oh, March 15th is coming. We're going to get a red sun on Nebula. Obviously, this is something that's impossible. It will not happen on Earth. That's why you've got kind of the fiction idea of it there. And then this is just kind of a photo that we remember. This is probably the greatest photo that we've ever taken in space. If you Google Voyager 2, Neptune flyover, that's kind of a color scheme that I would be interested in with the cloud coverage there. I just think it looks beautiful. And then this is kind of a just artificial render of a gas planet. I'm not exactly sure who the artist was on this, but this is kind of the color scheme that I like. You get that marble dark blue mixed with the white at the top, and then the light blue, kind of almost like a Jupiter-looking gas planet there in sort of layers. Obviously, it would not be a gas planet. It would be a planet like Earth, but I just like that color scheme overall, and it would be fun to implement something like that onto Nebula. I'd like the planet to be light blue. Of course, it is completely fictional, but that is kind of the way we're looking at. So those are the official numbers, kind of just an average breakdown of what I would like to see with Nebula. And again, this is a multi-phase project. The first phase is getting the planet made, getting some of the land sold, and really using Nebula to facilitate Web3's ecosystem, which will absolutely be huge. And we sell people on eliminating the bots. We sell people on VR, using VR to go into Nebula, look at your land, survey the area. You don't have to own the land to go into it either. that is the idea of NeBula, the cryptocurrency, really 3-in-1, the epicenter of Web3 in terms of the internet. And, we've seen what's happened. I mean, over and over again, you see with Google just manipulating stuff. They're completely corrupt. They're in bed with the FBI. We learned back in 2015, 2016 that they were curating all of the search results, that they were manipulating everything, and yet we all still use them. They are completely corrupted. It's the same thing that happened to Twitter. Elon takes over. He tries to change it. We thank him for that. But it is still real bad with Twitter. They have a major bot problem that they really can't get under control because it's just too infested at this point. It's gotten so bad, there's no way they're going to be able to delete every single bot account at this point. So, guys, that's the overall idea. I want to come out with another video talking about the 3 main phases of NeBula and how this would be introduced and really developed, along with other videos on time dilation. What is the actual calculations in terms of NeBula compared to Earth? Is it a year per month? Is it a year per day? What would it look like? When does NeBula start? How does it develop? I'm trying to find visual representations of civilizations developing in video games to show you the idea of how NeBula will develop. But I mean, I think the first year of NeBula is going to be super primitive. It's going to be a bunch of probably just grasslands and glaciers and things like that. Probably the entire first year, like the first 6 months, something like that, before we really start seeing humans on NeBula. It's a simulation that's similar to how Earth was developed, but it's a visual thing. And I was just thinking, we can't go to Mars right now. We can't go to Jupiter. We can't go to anywhere. We can't even do human flybys at these planets. So this is like the next best thing in terms of space travel, creating something digital, creating another planet that's similar to Earth, but not exactly the same. Take advantage of some of that fictional stuff and implemented it, like the different colored suns and things like that. There's other ideas. I'm really not even sharing any of the features right now. This is more just information on the numbers. The 1 mile is 1 coin. What's the overall, total supply? This is really boring stuff right now, but I just want to explain everything on how I would look at NeBula and possibly the future of our internet.